Most people believe they're doing the right thing when they drink more water. You've probably heard the advice 1,000 times. Stay hydrated. Drink 8 glasses a day. Carry a water bottle everywhere. But here's a question very few people ever ask. What if hydration alone isn't enough? What if the glass of water you drink every day could actually become something more powerful? Something that doesn't just hydrate you, but actively supports your circulation, your energy levels, and the health of your blood vessels. Because as men move past the age of 50, something subtle begins to change inside the body. Blood vessels gradually become less flexible. Circulation slows down, and the molecules responsible for keeping those vessels relaxed, particularly nitric oxide, start to decline. This matters far more than most people realize. Nitric oxide is essentially a signal your body sends to blood vessels, telling them to relax and widen. When nitric oxide levels are strong, blood flows easily. Oxygen reaches tissues efficiently. Muscles perform better. The heart works less aggressively. But when nitric oxide production drops, the opposite begins to happen. Blood vessels tighten. Circulation becomes less efficient. Energy levels decline, and many men begin noticing changes they didn't expect. The important thing to understand is this: the body still knows how to produce nitric oxide. It simply needs the right raw materials and the right environment. And that's exactly what we're going to explore today. Because there are several natural compounds, supported by scientific research, that can help the body support nitric oxide production through different biological pathways. Some work through amino acids, others work through dietary nitrates. Each approach uses a different mechanism inside the body, and when used properly, these strategies may support circulation, vascular flexibility, and overall cardiovascular function. But before we dive into those details, there's something extremely important to say first. This video is educational. It's not medical advice. If you take prescription medications, particularly for blood pressure, heart conditions, or circulation issues, you should always speak with a healthcare professional before making changes to your routine. Now, with that in mind, let's explore 3 natural approaches researchers often study when it comes to nitric oxide support. The first compound researchers frequently study is L-citrulline. To understand why citrulline is interesting, you need to know about another amino acid called L-arginine. Arginine is one of the direct building blocks the body uses to produce nitric oxide. But here's the problem. When people take arginine supplements directly, much of it is broken down during digestion before it ever reaches the bloodstream. That limits how effective it can be. Citrulline works differently. Instead of trying to provide arginine directly, citrulline acts as a precursor. Once absorbed, the kidneys convert citrulline into arginine. This means citrulline often raises arginine levels in the blood more efficiently than arginine itself. In simple terms, instead of delivering the final ingredient, citrulline gives the body the raw material it can convert at the right moment. Several studies suggest this pathway may help support vascular dilation, improve circulation, cardiovascular health. But something many people overlook is that timing and context matter. The body absorbs amino acids differently depending on what else is in the digestive system. For example, if citrulline is consumed alongside a large protein meal, other amino acids may compete for absorption. This doesn't make citrulline useless, but it can reduce its efficiency. Some people, therefore, choose to take amino acid supplements separately from large meals. Another point worth mentioning is hydration. Nitric oxide works within the vascular system. If the body is dehydrated, blood volume drops slightly, which can make circulation less efficient overall. So while citrulline may support nitric oxide production, basic hydration still plays a role. Think of it this way. Water provides the environment. Nitric oxide provides the signal. Another compound often discussed in nitric oxide research is a complex sometimes referred to as arginine silicate. While the amino acid component still contributes to nitric oxide production, the additional minerals may influence vascular structure and endothelial health. The endothelium is the thin layer of cells lining blood vessels. When this layer functions properly, it helps regulate vascular relaxation, inflammation, blood flow. Over time, oxidative stress and lifestyle factors can affect endothelial function. That's one reason cardiovascular health becomes a bigger focus as people age. Some research suggests certain mineral complexes may help support endothelial resilience. This doesn't mean they fix circulation overnight, but they may support the systems that maintain vascular flexibility. One interesting aspect of nitric oxide is how fragile the molecule is. Nitric oxide is produced quickly and disappears quickly. Oxidative stress can break it down before it reaches target tissues. That's why antioxidants are often discussed in the same context. Vitamin C, for example, helps reduce oxidative stress in the bloodstream. While it doesn't produce nitric oxide directly, it can help maintain a chemical environment where nitric oxide signals remain active longer. This is one reason nutrition researchers often emphasize overall dietary patterns, not just individual supplements. Fruits, vegetables, and plant compounds contribute to antioxidant balance, and that environment helps the vascular system operate more efficiently. The third approach works through a completely different biological system. Instead of amino acids, it uses dietary nitrates. One of the most well-known nitrate-rich foods is beetroot. Beets naturally contain high levels of nitrates. When consumed, those nitrates follow a fascinating journey through the body. Step 1 happens in the mouth. Certain bacteria on the tongue convert nitrates into nitrites. Step 2 happens in the stomach and bloodstream. Those nitrites are converted into nitric oxide. This pathway explains why some studies have found beetroot juice can support endurance performance, oxygen efficiency, blood flow during exercise. In some research settings, athletes who consumed nitrate-rich foods demonstrated improved efficiency during physical activity. However, there's an interesting twist many people don't know. The bacteria in your mouth play an important role in this process. If those bacteria are disrupted, for example by strong antibacterial mouthwash, the nitrate conversion process may become less efficient. This doesn't mean people should stop practicing oral hygiene, but it highlights how interconnected different systems in the body really are. Nutrition, microbiome health, and circulation all interact in ways researchers are still exploring. Another factor that affects nitrate stability is heat. High temperatures can degrade certain plant compounds. That's why nitrate-rich foods are often consumed as juices, smoothies, or lightly processed powders, rather than cooked extensively. Now, here's something extremely important. No supplement, natural or synthetic, replaces lifestyle habits. Circulation depends on several core factors: physical activity, body composition, sleep quality, metabolic health, vascular flexibility. Exercise, in particular, plays a massive role. When muscles contract during movement, they help pump blood back toward the heart. This improves circulation and supports vascular elasticity. Some researchers even describe physical activity as one of the most powerful natural stimulators of nitric oxide production. Movement signals the endothelium to release nitric oxide. That's why regular activity supports cardiovascular health over time. This doesn't require extreme workouts. Even moderate activities like brisk walking, cycling, swimming, bodyweight exercises can stimulate beneficial circulation responses. For men over 50, maintaining lower body mobility and core strength also becomes especially important. Certain muscles support pelvic circulation and bladder control. Exercises that strengthen these areas may help maintain functional stability as the body ages. Before anyone experiments with supplements that influence circulation, safety must be addressed. Compounds that increase nitric oxide can interact with medications that affect blood pressure or blood flow. Examples include antihypertensive medications, nitrates used for heart conditions, PDE5 inhibitors prescribed for erectile dysfunction, blood thinners. Combining multiple vasodilators may lead to excessively light blood pressure, which can cause dizziness or fainting. Individuals with kidney conditions or certain metabolic disorders may also need to approach high nitrate foods cautiously. That's why medical guidance is essential. A qualified healthcare professional can evaluate current medications, cardiovascular history, metabolic conditions, and determine what's appropriate. One of the most helpful ways to think about nitric oxide isn't as a single miracle molecule. It's part of a broader system that supports vascular communication. Imagine the circulatory system like a network of highways. Nitric oxide functions like traffic signals that tell those highways when to open lanes. But traffic flow still depends on other factors: road quality, vehicle numbers, weather conditions. In the body, those variables correspond to nutrition, activity level, metabolic health, hydration. Improving circulation, therefore, rarely comes from one dramatic change. Instead, it usually comes from small habits practiced consistently: drinking enough water, eating nitrate-rich vegetables, maintaining regular physical activity, sleeping well, managing stress. Each of these supports the systems that regulate blood flow. So what should you take away from all of this? First, hydration still matters. Water supports blood volume, temperature regulation, and cellular function. But hydration alone doesn't determine vascular health. The body also relies on compounds that help regulate blood vessel relaxation. Some of those compounds come from amino acids like citrulline. Others come from nitrate-rich foods like beets and leafy greens. Research into these pathways continues to evolve, and scientists are still learning how different nutritional strategies affect circulation long-term. What remains consistent, however, is the importance of lifestyle balance: nutrition, movement, sleep, stress management. These are the foundations that support the body's natural signaling systems. And when those foundations are strong, the body becomes far better at maintaining circulation on its own. So the next time you reach for a glass of water, remember that hydration is just one part of the story. The real goal isn't simply drinking more water. It's understanding how the entire system works together. Because once you begin supporting that system intentionally, the body often responds in ways that feel surprisingly powerful. And that journey toward better health rarely happens overnight. It happens through small decisions repeated every day. The good news is that those decisions are entirely within your control.